Okay, so now we're going to estimate and approximate roots, because you might be wondering, well, what happens if it's not a perfect square or a perfect cube or something like that? So when we estimate, we're going to be finding like a range. It's between, 5 and 6 or something like that. When we approximate, we're going to use a calculator for that. All right, and we'll show you both. So probably the easiest way for me to explain the first one is to do an example. So it says estimate each root between two consecutive whole numbers. So they're saying 38, the square root of 38, what would that be between? Okay, so let's think about if I had let's say I had the square root of 16. That one we know, right? It's 4. Let's say I have the square root of 25. That one I know, it's 5. The square root of 36, that's 6. The square root of 49, that's 7, right? So where is 38? 38, the square root of 38 is in between there, right? So the square root of 38 has to be between 6 and 7. So for answer A, it says estimate each root between two consecutive whole numbers. It's going to be between 6 and 7. Okay, and that's all we're going to say for that one. All right, now we're going to do B. It might be helpful for B, we're doing a cubed root, it might be helpful to know perfect cubes. So perfect cubes, we'll make a little list over here to the side. Perfect cubes. It won't be as long as our perfect squares. So 1, 8, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, 27, 64, 125, that's 5 cubed. What's 6 cubed? I think it's 216. I think we did that one. 7 cubed is 343. That's my favorite. 8 cubed, I'm thinking, oh man, what's 8 cubed? I don't remember. It's 512. I think it's 512. I'm going to check though. I don't want to write it if it's wrong. So 8 to the 3rd power on my calculator. That's not on. 8 to the 3rd. 512. Yeah. And then 9 cubed is going to be 729. And then 10 cubed would be 1,000. That's all I know, and I'm a little shaky on the 512. Okay. So it might be handy to know some perfect cubes. Now, we want the cubed root of 93, so 93's got to be in here someplace, right? Because you got 64 and then it jumps to 125. So the cubed root of 93 is going to be between, now, what was it here? That was a 4 cubed. And what was it here? That was a 5 cubed. So between 4 and 5. And that's how we're estimating those. Okay, now we're going to use our calculator. So and it says round to 2 decimal places. So A, the square root of 11. Now the square root, there's a special button on your calculator that's just a square root button. So you want to use that because that'll be a little bit easier. Mine, I have, on my calculator, I have an x squared button. And right above that is the square root button. Okay? So if I'm trying to find the square root of 11, I'm going to hit the square root button. I have to do second on my calculator. And then I'll get the square root button. So, second, oops, second, and then there's my square root button. And it'll show me on my display. And in fact, mine opens a parenthesis, but that's okay, it can have a parenthesis. And then I'm going to type in 11. And then hit enter. And, or enter or equals. Okay. I get 3.3166247.9. That's what it shows on my calculator. Now, I'm not going to put that for my answer though because it told me to round to 2 decimal places. So 2 decimal places, that's going to be right here. You look behind to see if it's going to round up. If it's 5 or more, it's going to round up. So I'm going to have 3.32. And that's what I'm going to have for my answer. this is an approximation. Sometimes they'll use that symbol to tell you that's an approximation. But 3.32 is going to be the answer. Okay. So now we're going to go to B. And we want to approximate the cubed root of 71. So this time we're going to have to do that other button, the one that's above the arrow key. Okay? So, or if your calculator has a Y to the X button. So I'm going to push 3 first. Then I'm going to push second. Then I'm going to push my, and it's going to be this button. It's not really a button. It's above the arrow button. Okay? So hopefully this all makes sense. If you have trouble, please email me, and I'm happy to set up a Zoom meeting real quick. It will only take me a minute to show you how to do this. All right, second button, and then I put in the 71, enter, and I get 4.140817749. But I want to go 2 decimal places. This time I look behind, and it's not going to round up, so 4.14. This is still an approximation, but that's what it is. You don't have to put the approximate symbol. We know that you're rounding it off, but in the real world, you would want to let people know this is an approximation. Okay, so you kind of have to play around with these in your calculator, and until you get it. All right, so this next one, C, we're going to hit the 4, then we're going to hit the second key, then we're going to hit that button, which is, it's the arrow button, but it's this. I'll put it like this. I'm trying to figure out how to show it to you. It's above the arrow button for me. Now it might be, or it might be that Y to the X button on your calculator. And then we'll push the 127, which you don't really have a button that says 127, but deep down I know you know to push a 1, a 2, and a 7. And then we'll hit the equals. All right. So let me clear this out. 4 second. And then it's a 127. And we'll hit equals. And I get like 3.35699, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and so I'm going to look behind. So 2 decimal places. Here's 1, 2. I look behind. It's going to round up. So I'm going to have approximately, my answer is approximately 3.36 for that one. Now we could go through these and see if it makes sense. 11, square root of 11. Well, if I think of perfect squares, 9 is 3 squared, and 16 is 4 squared. So 11 is between 9 and 16, so it should be between 3 and 4. So between 3 and 4, from what we were doing above on our estimating. Cubed root is 71. Well, 64 is 4 cubed, and 125 is 5 cubed, so yeah, it's between 4 and 5. And then the last one, the 4th root, I didn't do perfect 4th roots. Let's see, what do you have? 81 is 3 to the 4th power, so 3 to the 4th power is 81. And then must be 4 to the 4th power, which we had that. I don't know, another video. I think it was 256. So yeah, 127's in there. So yeah, okay, it all makes sense. It's all good.